Lemon Amiga presents a Playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Welcome to another Lemon Amiga game guide and review. This time we'll be taking a look at Bobble, the 1986 arcade game released by the Taito Corporation. And the game was based on Jack and Pop, the arcade game from 1984. And you might recognise some of the characters, particularly the ghosts, are taken from that game. So in this game we play as Bob or Bob, who have been mutated into bubble-blowing dinosaurs, bubble dragons, and they must save their girlfriends from the clutches of an evil enemy. In order to do this, they must negotiate 100 tough levels and find a secret key to unlock the true ending. The Amiga version was converted by Software Creations under the watchful eyes of David J. Broadhurst, who coded this little gem, and he went on to convert LED Storm in '88, Bionic Commando, Ghouls and Ghosts, before moving on in the 1990s to Team 17, where he worked on the likes of Assassin Special Edition, Apache and Overdrive in 1993. And he went on to work on FIFA 99, Knockout Kings most recently, and Homefront appeared in 2011. Certainly he's very much involved in the business. The graphics on the Amiga version were done by Andrew R. Threlfall, who also joined David on LED Storm, Bionic Commando and Ghouls and Ghosts, and the music was converted by the Commodore 64 and Amiga legend David Whittaker, who some people might remember coded the great music for Sanction, The Thalamus, BMX Simulator, Contra, Speedball, Dogs of War, Body Blows, and a whole rake of Amiga games, before moving on towards the Lego series, Lego Star Wars, Lego Batman, Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Harry Potter, that kind of thing, and most recently LA Noire for Rockstar Games. So yet again, still very much involved in the business. The title music that you can hear over the titles of the Amiga version is actually the end credits of the arcade, and the developers were sent the arcade PCB to work from, so that they could port those graphics more or less one-to-one. And even though you can see from these screenshots the Amiga version isn't arcade perfect, the Amiga could have used extra features. It does use more features than the Atari ST version, and it's certainly a step up from the 8-bits, as you can see. Bobble was voted number 7 in a poll of the top 25 platformers of all time, conducted by Retro Gamer magazine, issue number 37, only just coming behind Jet Set Willy and the Sonics and the Marios of this world, which is quite an achievement, especially considering the age of this game. And it was also released on every home computer imaginable, it looks like. The PC, the ST, the MSX, the ZX Spectrum, the 64, the FM Towns, the TRS-80, the Game Boy Color, and everything else in between. There were even conversions for the PS1, the PS2, and the Sega Mega Drive. The Genesis even had a very special, unique version, unique to that machine. And there were a number of sequels. Rainbow Islands is probably the most famous sequel, and Parasol Stars, which was originally developed on the PC before being converted to the Amiga, and also Bobble 2 was released in the arcades, as well as a number of sequels in that vein. And the game was quite unique for its time, featuring devices such as multiple endings and multiple player modes, the game is theoretically a two-player game, which just happens to have a one-player function, similar to games such as Gauntlet in the arcade, which is primarily a multiplayer game. And apart from the 16-colour Amiga version, which was downgraded from the 256-colour arcade, I think the programmers have done a great job of converting the game, certainly retaining the feel and the playability of the arcade original. And taking a look at the scores, the Lemon Amiga crew gave this 8.5 out of 10 on the Lemon Amiga site, which is virtually 85%. Amiga Power gave it 87%, Seal Amiga gave it 84%, Amiga Action gave it 90%, Amiga Computing gave this 91%, and Your Amiga magazine only gave this 54%, complaining of bad graphics and poor sound. To me, I find the games very playable, very challenging to be honest, and difficult when the player loses lives and has to lose upgrades and things like that, and there are certainly upgrades to pick up in this game, and we shall go through those as this review continues. This is level 7 you're looking at the moment, and comparing these screenshots, again you can see the Commodore 64 version holds up pretty well considering its colour palette, but out of all these conversions, perhaps the Commodore 64 music is the best. I've certainly had the opportunity to hear that 64 music over and over again. So on the left you will see one of the plays called the Amiga 1, where I got quite far in the game but not much score, and on the right you can see Amiga 2, just picked up an extend there. You'll notice on the Amiga 2 version I pick up quite a number of flasks which give me a great score, and I'll travel even further in the game with that playthrough. So each level plays slightly differently, and there are tactics and routes involved to get the best out of the game, to complete the levels as quickly and effectively as possible. And you can see I'm collecting the greenies there. There are many collectibles to pick up in this game. The yellow genie lamp there I just picked up gives me rapid fire, and on the other side I'm picking up a candy cane, a blue candy cane, which means when I kill the last enemy I will gain a fruit which will drop down, or in this case a slice of cake, which I can collect for a super bonus. On every level you will find an array of enemies, usually about 5 or 6 or so, and all you have to do to complete the level is to remove the enemies by first bubbling those into a bubble and then running into that bubble to pop it. On the arcade version you had to pop it using the spines on the rear of the bubble dragon, and that would explode the bubble, and when all the enemies on the screen have been dispatched using this manner, then it's on to the next one. And there are also many collectibles, things which drop and rise up from the holes on the top and the bottom of the screen, such as extra letters and lightning bolts and things like that, we shall see later on. And if we collect the letters which spell extend, we'll gain an extra life. We'll also gain an extra life at 10,000 points and 100,000 points, with a maximum of 7 lives appearing on the display bar, but this will roll over if you require more. But by far the most interesting pickup in the game is the flasks, and so I picked up the purple flask there on the right. Picking up a multicoloured rainbow flask will immediately complete the level and give the player a bonus stage, whereupon they must collect all the flowers or the music notes which appear on that stage, and having done so will gain them a bonus of 100,000 points. So if they can pick up a number of flasks during the levels, they will find the score really racks up, and it can mean the difference between a low score and something a lot more presentable. There are also extra fruit pickups on these levels. I've just picked up a corn cob and also some grapes as well on the right. They will materialise at random. Sometimes you will gain a red gem or any number of special bonuses, and then if the player waits until the level timer runs down a little while, they will gain a special bonus, and this special bonus can be anything from speed shoes to an umbrella, which helps the player skip levels, to rapid fire and sweets, which mean the player's jumps and the bubble explode with a greater score, and things like that. Also extras like the red ring as well, which gives multiple score no matter what the player does if the player finds the red ring. But usually the bonuses, just like the crown there, you can see on the right, I've just picked that red crown up. These are just points bonuses which add to the score. And you can see on the left there, I'm just short of a yellow T to complete my extend, and I'm not too far on the right of picking up that extend as well, but I was unable to pick up the yellow T because I killed the last enemy before I reached it, and I picked up the candy cane, which looks more like a shepherd's crook to me, and unfortunately I cannot get out of there to pick that cake out of the ground, so I'm going to have to wait for the level to be completed. If the player takes too long to complete a level, then a number of things will happen. First of all, if you find enemies trapped inside a bubble and you leave them there, they will get angry and pop out of the bubble and run around like crazy until they make contact with you or you kill them off, and then either they die or you die. If you leave the level alone a bit longer, you'll find the extra special bonus, which I've talked about already, and leaving the game for longer than that, you'll make a ghost appear, an invincible ghost, and he will chase you around the level, getting closer and closer until you either complete the level or you make contact with that ghost, and then you'll have to carry on with the level and the time limit will be reset. There are also special bubbles in the form of water bubbles, which upon explosion will drop a torrent of liquid down the screen, and as you saw on the previous level I used that to get inside the heart, and the water droplets, if they collect the enemies, they will turn into 4,000 point diamonds, which the player can collect for more score, and that's worth remembering. And as mentioned, there are also lightning bolt pickups as well, which we shall see later on. And on the left there I've picked up the T to get the extend, so that will give me the extension of an extra life, and I'm not too far away from picking up the extend on the right, and you can see the umbrella there which would skip levels. Let's not pick that up. I'm just waiting for a blue N there on the right, and that will complete my extend. Sometimes it's worth gaining the extend on levels that you find difficult, and that will complete the level. Otherwise it's good to watch out for other level completing bonuses such as the bomb, which will turn all the enemies into 7,000 point diamonds, and there is also the umbrellas as well, which will complete the level and skip a number of levels depending on the colour of that umbrella, and the purple genie lamp, which will explode and destroy all the enemies on the screen, and items such as the cross, the blue cross, will fill the entire level with water, killing all the enemies. And there's also a red cross as well, which enables the player to fire fireballs from their mouth instead of bubbles, and that will produce a diamond after you kill those guys using that method. So now I've collected the extend on both of these playthroughs. It's important to collect those letters again and start that extend all over again. And I have picked up the blue cross, it looks like, on the left. I couldn't see that, but I must have picked it up because I wandered past the spawning point of the item, and that's what it's given me. Meanwhile, on the right, I picked up the yellow potion bottle, the conical flask, or the rainbow flasks as they are known, and the player will have to find the edge of that platform. It requires a pixel perfect jump to get that last flower there to gain the super bonus, and there are a few pixel perfect jumps required in this game. So here we are, level 16. My preferred method is to stand on the platform there on the right, let the enemies come to you, and then hop down and kill the enemies to the left, and then you have plenty of time to get the ones in the middle. I'm going to put that flask there to get the the bonus, and on the other side I'll pick up the yellow genie lamp for turbo firepower. It certainly is important to get that turbo fire, and that makes the levels so much easier, so much more friendly and so much more fun. In fact, I wouldn't recommend picking up the speed shoes. That's the only item I wouldn't recommend, and that makes the player dive around the screen at a phenomenal rate, and they will also fall faster as well, so I wouldn't recommend that, but that's the only item I wouldn't recommend out of the lot. And so on the right there you can see the lightning bubbles. When you collide with those lightning bubbles, they will fire in the opposite direction to the direction you are falling. So if you want those to go across the screen to the left, you will have to be facing to the right when you collide with those, and they will traverse the screen and remove any enemies in their way, as you can see. And it is possible to fall down those gaps and to move around the level, kind of Pac-Man style, dropping down and re-emerging on the top, and that means the levels can be traversed fairly easily. I'm struggling to complete the level 17 there on the left. On the right I'm through it, and I'm on to the difficult level 18 there, which is really difficult. In fact, I like to collect the water droplets there which appear from the top and ride those down to the bottom, and if I collect any enemies along the way, that will give me a free diamond, and so I tend to jump to the top and get those water droplets moving down the screen as soon as possible. And again, as I say, sometimes it's good to have an emergency out method of completing the level by picking up a certain item or collecting the final letter for the extend, which I've built up many letters already. But if you can't do that, then you have to rely on your own judgment and your own skill to get through these levels, and if you die, the game will give you a few seconds to recover with invulnerability. You can see me flashing there, but on the left I'm just about to run out of time, and that will make the white hurry up ghost appear there. You can see it in the bottom corner. That will move towards the player slowly to begin with, and that will gradually increase its distance towards the player the more that thing is left on screen. So let's get rid of the final enemy, and that will make that thing disappear, and it's on to the next level. On this level I find it's easiest to get the first two ghosts which appear from that cut through section as they rise from below, and then you can bubble those away, and then if the player is quick they can hop down and get the other four ghosts on the other side. And if you can't get all four of those ghosts, then the only thing you can do is to get into the middle, bubble yourself halfway up that level, and take those enemies on from the sides. And here we go, this is level 20. You might notice on the right there, if the player gets to level 20 and they have not lost a life in all of those 20 levels, then that will eventually spawn a mysterious door which appears on level 20, and that leads to a bonus section. If the player doesn't die by the time they get to level 30, they will get another door, and if they don't die during 40 levels of play, they will get another door on level 40. So this is me entering that door now to collect those diamonds, which on collection of all of those will give the player roughly 250,000 points extra, which is very handy. Let's just drop down, go through that door there, and that allows me to get to the bottom section of that bonus area. But this game is tremendously difficult, and it is easy to die given a drop of a hat. So to reach level 20 having not lost a life isn't impossible, but it certainly is difficult. And then after that the game gives the player a break for a few levels. Having made the levels harder and harder up to level 20, the player will find the next few levels are quite easy. On level 21 all the player has to do is to wait for those guys to drop down and bubble those as they reach our level. And on the left there I've managed to find another flask, that's an important feature, and on the right I missed the purple sweet, purple candy, but that doesn't really give the player much in the way of advantages. Certainly the yellow sweet, the yellow toffee, is the one to go for, as that gives the player rapid shoot. But before we carry on with those easy levels, the game will often throw a spanner in the works with this one. This is level 22, and the aim of this level is to trigger those lightning bolts, which will traverse the screen, and if the player is very lucky, they will trigger one lightning bolt which removes all the enemies in one go, and if they are very unlucky, they will be struggling to get those lightning bolts activated. You can see on the right there I've picked up a pearl necklace which under normal circumstances will fly around the level and kill enemies on contact and give a diamond there, but on this level that isn't possible, and I'm taking so long that the ghosts have appeared on both levels now, making me move a little faster and hurry up. It is possible to navigate your way around those things as the player drops off the bottom of the level and appears again at the top, and sometimes those ghosts will even disappear if they are left for long enough. But on this level on the right there I have got rid of the last enemy, got the diamond, and that's me done, and on the left I'm struggling. Sometimes it's possible to get those enemies if you jump up and bubble those, but what the player will find is if they trap themselves in the scenery, they will no longer be able to get out unless they are very lucky and able to jump on their own bubbles and escape that level. And probably the easiest thing is just to wait for those lightning bolts. And it is possible to jump on the player's own bubbles. Sometimes they will burst and sometimes not. If the player presses directly upwards on their controller, then that will generally make the player bounce on the bubbles, and if they move the joystick slightly, that will often make them pop. But some bubbles don't pop that easily, and sometimes they don't pop when you want them to, and sometimes they do pop when you don't want them to. But on the right there you can see I picked up another bonus collection item which fires a lightning bolt across the screen and gets rid of all the enemies. We are impervious to that thing, but it kills enemies on contact, so the purple cross there is definitely worth picking up. And I'm moving through the easy levels on the right, whereas on the left I still haven't managed to get off level 22. And as I say, it can be really difficult to get those things in the middle, and on the right I'm looking like it's a pushover. You'll also notice the enemies will drop those fruits on contact when you explode those bubbles. If you get one enemy inside a bubble and pop it, you will gain a fruit worth 500 points. If you get two enemies in two bubbles exploded together, they will drop one 500 and one 1000 point bonus in the shape of a peach. And if you gain three enemies and explode those together, you will gain a 500, a 1000 and a 2000 point bonus in the shape of what looks like an apricot to me. So the more enemies you can get in a cluster, the better. And sometimes when you have those enemies bubbled and they float to the top of the screen, it's possible to chain a few bubbles up there and explode those in a chain reaction. So if you can't get to the enemies, you can always send an array of bubbles up there and pop the nearest one for a chain reaction. You can see on this level, level 25, there are fire bubbles, and dropping those will yet again make enemies turn into diamonds upon contact. And I've picked up the candy cane as well on the right there, which gives me a nice peach, it looks like, or maybe an apple, but I think it's still a peach. A huge 10,000 point bonus. And you might notice I've synced these levels up. I haven't spent far too much time on the level 22. And this level, level 26, this is the return of the harder levels. Sometimes this level can be easy if you let those guys jump up to your level, and you can bubble those, simply hopping on those things like stepping stones. But sometimes the ghosts don't do that, and you have to jump down and get those manually, and that's not particularly easy. I've managed to pick up the shepherd's crook, or the candy cane there on one side. On the other side you can see I'm dying for the fact that I made contact with those guys. But when you are invulnerable at the point of returning from death, it's important to get stuck into those and get rid of them before you stop flashing again. So here we go, level 27, and again it's another easy level. What I like to do is drop down from the top and drop down into the middle section. get rid of a few purple ghosts like that, and get rid of those, and then drop down to the next section, bubble a few more, get rid of them. And sometimes you can be extremely lucky and unlucky, but to be honest, my playing skills on this game leave a lot to be desired in the first place. So on the right there I have 2 enemies to kill, and on the left I'm being assaulted by these purple ghosts, and those ghosts are taken from the arcade game Chack and Pop, which Tato released in 1983. And you might notice level 29 of Bubble Bobble is a complete conversion of one of the levels in Chack and Pop, and level 43 in this game actually features the Chack and Pop character himself, and is a homage to that creation. So looking at the right there, I just need a green E to get an extend, and since I'm on 3 lives that would certainly be helpful, particularly on this level 28, which marks the return of the hard levels again. If you have turbo fire you might be able to collect those guys, but when they will bubble halfway up the screen, and they will surprisingly get themselves out of those bubbles surprisingly quickly, so you have to get in there and get those. If you don't get those and get them quickly, they will break out of those bubbles, and that's difficult. On the right there you can see a blue treasure chest as well, which I'll make my way up towards and collect that, and that will give a nice big diamond on completion of that level. And on the left there I've completed the level, so let's just wait and get this diamond. That's worth 50,000 points, and you can see the score on the right is also 864,000 out of a high score of 901,000. You can see there in the bottom corner. So heading up towards the million on my last life. And on the left you can see I have virtually 500,000 points, having got to the same level. That's basically because we didn't pick up or find any of those bonus flasks along the way, or many of those. So on the left I've just got the green E, which appears at random. In fact, the green E is probably one of the items which appears least in the game, along with the yellow T. The most common letters are the orange E, the X, the N and the D. So that's me completed the Chack and Pop level there through various means. And again, back onto the hard levels. This is level 30, and there are a number of ways to complete this level. Sometimes it's possible to explode those lightning bolts, and by facing in the right direction you can make those sweep across the screen and remove those enemies. It isn't possible to dive into those 5 cups and destroy the enemies head on, and sometimes it's possible to jump on your own bubbles and blow bubbles through the walls to destroy those guys. But on the right there you can see I picked up an umbrella which skips these hard levels, particularly the very hard level 32. I'm glad to skip that one. That's a really difficult level, and if you can pick up those umbrellas to skip those difficult levels, then do so. And again, the game can take it easy on the player. This is quite a medium level 37. It's not too difficult, certainly not as hard as level 32. And you can see the other play, I've managed to lose all my lives, and that's the end of that. So let's see how far we can get in this game. I'm up to 882,000 points, still haven't beat the 901 high score. My highest high score ever in this game is somewhere in the region of 964,000 points, and since we're currently playing this game on the closing stages of the Lemon Amiga EAB Games competition, that score will be beaten. I'm certainly hoping to gain over the million points, if at all possible, before that competition closes this weekend. So on to level 38, and this is a very difficult level and requires very accurate timing, and turbo fire is certainly helpful. You can see I didn't get time to reel off one shot there before they killed me, and sometimes it's good to fall down there and hope, but on this level you have to time that first jump down between those enemies and try and find a gap there so you can fall down. I tried to jump across and land on the purple genie lamp there, but that failed. That would have been an easy way to complete the level. But if we can just get in there and bubble those guys up and chain react a few at the beginning, all I need to do is to wait until those guys drop down, and then I can bubble those as they squeeze out of those bubbles. That's not very hard, but I used up a lot of lives there. And you can see, because I used up a continue credit, of which you are given 8 in the game, because I used up that continue, my score has been reset, and I've gone back down to 61,000 points. And look at that, I bubbled that creature head on in the face, and yet for some reason it didn't credit me with the kill and killed me. So collision detection on this level. In fact, this is the first time I've reached this level. I usually get to level 36, but let's skip it with a greedy. Certainly helps our cause and gives us an extra life. So let's just speed that through as per usual and get on to the next level. This is level 40, and again the game will take it very much easier on the player. Level 40 introduces the player to a brand new enemy. The grey enemies there spit fireballs from their mouths, so avoid those. The ghosts will roll rocks in our direction, so it's important not to stay on that level they are upon for very long. And look at that, cleared the level in something like 10 seconds there. Very easy level, it looks like, level 40. And then the final level we will show you on this play guide, this playthrough. And I hope you understand how to play the game by now, given the various screenshots. Level 41 is the last level I will show you, and it's very, very easy level. In fact, you really have to really cock this level up if you want to fail this level. But as you are about to see, collecting those bonuses meant that unfortunately I didn't succeed in completing the level, and I'll pick up that speed shoe there, which runs me straight into the enemy. But thanks for watching this playthrough guide, and hope to see you again on another game pretty soon. So cheers from me, and see you again.